Top 10 credit makers in World of Tanks as of April 2024. Which premium tanks are the milkiest cash cows? Which tanks make the most money per battle on average according to Tomato.gg's statistics? Today we are going to talk about it together with quick tank reviews, so hopefully it is informative and helpful for many of you. Let's go. From the 10th place we can find Kari, Tier 8 Japanese premium tank destroyer with very punchy gun, 500 alpha damage and around 10 to 11 second reload time, depends which equipment units you are using. On the top of that, -7 degrees of gun depression, good aiming time, good accuracy. Well, we do not have to look any further why this tank can print some credits. On average it makes 48,066 credits profit. It has good mobility, 40 top speed, 18 backwards. 18 backwards is actually very overlooked many times on tank destroyers. This helps you to get away from a hairy situation because you do not have a turret and it is so much easier to outplay you because of that. And it also has enough view range to spot for itself. I would say all around very good tank. Armor wise, well, let's just say it has some, but I never really count on the armor, so this is how I play it. And equipment wise, you can see equipment about every single tank, which I'm playing in today's video from the bottom middle next to the ammunition type. So this is one of the equipment units on Kari. I use rammer, hardening and ventilation on close quarters action like this map, you know, city map. I also have improved aiming, rammer and ventilation setup as well for more snipey maps where I know that I need to do a little bit more sniping. So Kari definitely deserves a spot over here. Next up, 122 TM, which makes 48,272 credits per battle on average, and that is pure profit, ladies and gentlemen. And by the way, the top 10 is based on April 4th stats. The credit profit is based on that, and I made the top 10 around it. Right now this tank is in place number 9, but yesterday, for example, 122 TM was place number 8. So yeah, you know, they are switching positions because the credit difference in top 10, or let's say from top 5 to top 10, that was very, very close, and they are switching positions all the time. So if you're checking it out yourself, for example, and you see something else being 8th or 9th, well, that's the reason. But talking about 122 TM, I think this one is kind of a sleeper, because it has one very horrible thing that scares people away from it, and it is TPM. And you know, this is a big problem, yes, on this tank, because it only has 1,741 TPM. But I would say many players, when they look at this tank, they overvalue TPM overall in World of Tanks. Like, we have so many crazy high TPM tanks in this game that are not able to use it 99% of the times. I'm looking at you, AMX30. B, tier 10 medium tank that has the highest TPM in the game, but the shell velocity, the penetration, the gun handling, everything is kinda trash, and it is never able to use it. They're never able to put that on the battlefield. Now, when this tank has 1,700 TPM with ventilation, with rammer, a good crew, food as well, at least usually it is able to put that into action, into battles. This tank shines more in medium to long length battles. When it is super fast, of course, you know, 10 DPM comes in handy and it matters way more. But still, having 400 alpha, 233 millimeters of APCR penetration, or 299 with premium heat, you can go through most of the things you are aiming at. It has -8 degrees of gun depression, good aiming time, good accuracy. Overall, I would say the gun is very, very solid. The worst thing about that is that TPM. Survivability definitely above the average. I have had battles where I bounce 4,000, but on the other hand, I have had also battles where I bounce nothing. So, you know, sometimes it's still figuring it out, but I would say it's definitely above average. View range is kinda bad. You need to go to top this to get it over 445. Mobility decent, good top speed, average power to weight ratio, but bad reverse speed, only 13. But overall, solid piece of metal, punchy gun, can make some credits. Moving on to the next position where we can find Renegade. Now, Renegade is one of the marathon tanks, and it is still, I would say, one of the better tier 8 premium heavy tanks. It just hits my alley as well. It makes 49,328 credits on average per battle profit, and many are enjoying it. Like, it is in the same category as D32 or, let's say, M103, E5, you know, that playstyle. I cannot compare it straight to D32 because this tank has just, you know, way bigger commander hatch, it has a little bit bigger alpha, but like overall playstyle is still the same. It has very good gun depression, minus 10 degrees of gun depression, it has 2.6k DPM. You know, comparing this DPM, for example, to 122, Renegade has 1000 more, right? But the gun is not as reliable. The gun is good, but it is sometimes just so unreliable. It is crazy. 2.36 aiming time, 0.33 accuracy. You know, everything is average, but it can have very, very derpy moments. In this battle I was using hardening, rammer and stabilizer, and I was able to connect, I would say, most of my shots because they were not the furthest away from me. It has solid armoring besides that commander hatch, so it needs a little bit more work. You need to raise your gun, you need to wiggle a bit more just to get some bounces off, but overall a very nice and solid tank. After all those years, it is still amazing, I would say so. Deserves a spot over here. Moving on to the next place where we can find Škoda D56. And this tank, I believe it does not need much introduction. This, when it first came out, it was slapping left, right and center with 460 alpha and auto-loading gun, which has 2 clips, 3.5 second reload time between shots. So basically you were able to dish out 920 damage in 3.5 seconds with a tier 8 heavy tank. Bloody hell, when it came out, I thought this should be tier 9 as it came out. Just bump it up a tier, don't change anything, and it can sit fine in tier 9. You know, now of course it has been brought down a bit, not by nerfing, but, you know, buffing some other tanks, buffing some Dector tanks, releasing new ones, you know, and it is, but don't get me wrong, it is still scary. It is still very, very good. The gun itself slaps, but the gun handling, well, that can be a little bit problematic. It has very long aiming time, you know, poor dispersion, 2100 DPM, but as we just talked about, DPM does not matter. Everything, the trading, what this tank can do, you know, that is scary. You can slap enemy tanks 2 times when they can slap you once, and it has some armor to get some bounces on the top of that, so all that combined, it makes one scary package, and the Škoda is still very, very scary. And this one brings in 49,505 credits per battle on average, according to tomato.gg. Scary one. Equipment-wise, I have 2 equipment setups. I have the hardening, stabilizer, and turbo for a map like that, for example, where I know I want to be a little bit more aggressive, I want to move in, or I have the improved aiming, stabilizer, and ventilation setup as well, actually, on this vehicle for more snipey maps or for higher tier tanks where I know that I do not want to be too aggressive. Or you can have different setups with ventilation, you can have with coated optics, whatever works for you, whichever playstyle you find good for you. And when we talk about the tank like Škoda that has the auto-loading big burst damage in tier 8, it is a premium tank. It is not a surprise to see this tank in the top credit earners list, because to have a, let's say, decent, you know, decent credit battle for average player, you basically need to only hit 3 clips. This is what you need to do. You have 2.7, 2.8, 2.9 thousand damage, and that already alone makes you some good money on average. And this is how this tank ends up over here. Overall good package with, you know, kinda derpy gun many times, but it makes you some bucks. Škoda D56. Moving on to ISU 122-2, which makes 49,632 credits on average. Slightly more than all the other tanks we have mentioned over here. By the way, Make your guess which tank is the best credit maker in World of Tanks. But ISU 122-2 is the newest tank in this list. It is one of the newest premium tanks overall. It is a tier 8 premium tank destroyer with 2 barrels. And the double barrel mechanic on this tank compared to like 703 version 2 or compared to some other double barrel tanks is a little bit more interesting, and this is what intrigues intrigues me quite a lot about this tank. Number one, the double barrel shot charge up time is very fast. It is 2 seconds, so you can just go in quickly, take the double shot with a little bit of a preloading action as well, and you can pull back. And this tank actually kind of favors you to take double shots in most situations. Why? Because your gun reload time with my equipment, with my setup, is 8.94 seconds. And if you want to take shots one by one, your gun switching time alone is 7 seconds. So it is almost the same as the reload time. And on the top of that, its reload time lock is only 1 second. So if you take the double shot, you know your gun is locked for 1 second and then it starts loading. On heavy tanks, it is way longer. On the Deck 3 heavy tanks, you know, this is where that mechanic comes from. Just to punish the double shot, just to balance this double shot a bit more. But this is not big enough of a punishment, because if you are going in taking shots one by one, the gun switching time is 7 seconds alone, you know, or maybe you're waiting for the entire 9 seconds to take another shot. Depends on the situation. Then you just risk with your health, with your tank more, because you have to reveal yourself more. But over here, going in, taking the quick double shot with good, very good gun handling, and you simply pull back. You know, the only thing actually what sucks on the gun handling is minus 5 degrees of gun temperature. Now, that said, of course, I do not take double shots every single time. If I see I do not even have the 2 seconds to load up the double shot, I am simply going to click the mouse button and I will take a single shot. 390 alpha is still 390 alpha and damage done to the enemy vehicles. But if you can, 780, this is where it is at. Like in the battle you see in the background, many double shot chances, many double shots taken, and the damage is stacking up very, very easily. So once again, as I said, good gun handling, like aiming time and accuracy. Gun depression is the only thing that sucks. Mobility is also decent, 40 top speed, 20 moving backwards without turbo even, because my equipment setup in that battle, for example, was improved aiming, ventilation and rotation mechanism. You can also use turbo or hardening or both setup as well in this. Depends on your playstyle, depends on the map, on the matchmaking, on everything. And by the way, I was playing this battle with 100% crew, you know, which everybody has now, and no crew skills. Not a single crew skill whatsoever, because I forgot to add those to the crew members. So that is just what you need to know. And that's the reason why the aiming circle is so small as well. In that battle I had 400-meter aiming circle, but you get it higher with Brothers in Arms, with view range skills, you know, close to 445, which is where you want to be with this setup as well. Overall, one of the newest tanks, but it is growing on me. It is growing on me fast, I can say. Moving on, next we continue with 2 barrels. 703-2, making 50,336 greatest profit on average. Tier 8 double-barreled heavy tank. Right from the get-go, when this tank was released, it was kind of slapping and clapping enemies. For the same reasons as the ISU 122-2, because of the potential of 780 alpha damage on a tier 8 heavy tank. But in this case, it is not that easy. Number one, your salvo preparation time is not 2 seconds, it is 3 seconds. You may think that is only 1 second longer, right? But you would be surprised how many times that 1 second actually matters, and how much more I shoot single shot version of this tank with 703-2, because in 3 seconds many people are done pulling back, side-scraping, taking a shot into me, and pulling away once again. Of course, when I have a chance, I know that I need to reposition or do that, I'm going to even risk it, take the double shot, hopefully I'm able to hit. But usually you want to make sure you have that 3 seconds to preparation, for the preparation, and then you have to make sure that you have an area big enough where both shells can hit and can go into the enemy tank, right? Now, when you do that, your punishment in this vehicle is not 1 second like in ISU, it is 4 seconds. So that actually affects your DPM quite a lot. Once again, depends on the situation. If the enemy tank is around 650 hit points or below that, 700 hit points or below that, of course, go for it, because you have a chance to take out the tank with a single blow. And this is the beauty of this, and this is why, or this is where this tank can be very, very powerful. Nobody really wants to peek you or wants to attack you when they know that they can lose 780 hit points in 3 seconds, you know. Only the loading time is separating you. In this battle I was using hardening, improved aiming and stabilizer, but you can have turbo, you can have only stabilizer in it as well, whatever you feel like doing. Overall, solid, good armor. Mobility, definitely under average, but you know, it has to have something under average. And view range is, as well is quite bad, but I'm not working on getting the view range much higher on this. I wanna hit tanks, I wanna slap them. Anyway, 703, good premium tank for sure. Next up, let's move to the tank which was in the 4th position right now, at least, and it is Charlemagne. I was actually debating if I should add this tank to the list, because it has been very exclusive and it doesn't have too many battles on this vehicle. But now they're making it more available actually via the Onslaught event. That tank was previously the Ranked Battles store tank. You were able to pick it up from the Ranked Battles store, but now they brought it back, and it has been available in the Onslaught store already for 1 season, and soon with the next update we are going to get another rotation of Onslaught, and people are able to buy it one more time. Now, it comes with quite a hefty price tag, 12,000 bonds, and I would say that tank is not worth so much extra. Like, you can pick up many decently good premium tanks for 8,000 bonds from the regular bond store, so to pay 12,000 for that, yes, you can get some discount as well depending on your rank in the Onslaught, but it is still going to be more expensive. It has a juicy 440 alpha damage, but very derpy gun handling, especially on the paper. On the paper, aiming time is trash, 3.3 seconds, dispersion is trash, but on the battlefield, it doesn't feel to be that bad. It is working way more often than it should. I have made a video about this tank as well, and over there I had exactly the same impressions when I played a lot of battles with it, you know, trying to get a feel for the vehicle, and I had the same feeling, like the gun is working a little bit better, but still it is kinda bad. Now, it is raking in 51,014 credits on average, but I would say those credits are a little bit skewed, played by players who are, I would say, above average. So this definitely is affecting this tank, and you should take this into account as well. But, you know, we are making top 10. It is in the 4th place currently, at least. I don't know, maybe tomorrow it could be 5th, could be 6th, could be 3rd. But overall opinion about the vehicle, gun 440 alpha is juicy, right? Standard pen 220 with that derpy gun handling may not work out many times, so you need to tap the 2 key quite often with 270 millimeters of AP pen, which is very nice because you know how much I love AP ammo in this game. Survivability, armor is actually kind of troll. It has kind of troll armor, so that is decent. Mobility, it accelerates fast. It has 39 top speed with turbo or without turbo. It has 35 top speed, but it has good power to weight ratio, so acceleration and getting up to the top speed is nice. View range is also, you can get it up to 445 with relative ease, I would say, without using coated optics, or close to it at least. 442 is what I have with this setup and food and, you know, good crew. So overall, Not rating this tank the highest, but, you know, some people are able to make some good credits in it. But now, moving on to the podium, top 3, and first tank over here, I have to be honest, guys, that one surprised me a little bit. Bisonte C45. I have quite a history with this vehicle. When I was having my third marking sessions in it, like a couple years ago, a year or 2 years ago, something like that, I think this tank takes the price of the most different equipment setups I have tried on any vehicle to make it work. To see which I enjoy most. I legitimately tried everything. Like, I tried the full gun handling, half gun handling, semi-gun handling, yeah, but eventually I ended up with this. Hardening, stabilizer, turbo. And they simply said, RNG is pretty strong in this vehicle. If I boost the gun handling too much, I am just losing out HP, I'm just losing out mobility. And they went with this, I stick to this, and they started enjoying it. And they started enjoying it actually quite a lot. Now, why it was surprising to see this tank over here at first was, I thought it's like a little bit harder tank to make work. But then again, I thought this is auto reloader. All you need to do, like the same case as I said with Škoda D56, to make it work you need to hit 2 clips. You know, you have 360 alpha. If you hit 6 shots out of 2 clips, let's say, you are already making decent amount of credits. Of course, everybody wants to do more, and this tank is capable of doing so much more. I remember having actually quite crazy games in this. Many 6,000, I think 7,000 games as well, raw damage. It was working once I figured it out, because it has decent mobility, it has decent armoring, like everything is kinda good in it besides the derpy gun handling. Also minus 10 degrees of gun depression. Yes, DPM, once again, not the highest, but let's not overvalue the DPM. It has good enough view range to just to spot for yourself, most of the times, of course, not versus the most camoed up tanks. 54 top speed, but with quite a bad power to weight ratio. No, top speed is good, but power to weight ratio is holding it back a little bit. 54 top speed with turbo or 50 without turbo is not what you usually see on heavy tanks, right? So overall, like, quite a solid package, and that autoloader just adds that extra ease to make some credits, and this is how it is ending up in the top 3 with 51,330 credits profit on average. And people are playing this tank a lot. This tank actually had quite a lot of battles under its belt. And over here, nice lucky shot into the 25. I was actually aiming at Saladin, missed it, but hit the 25. And 4,000 damage just like that. Very easy matchmaking, though. All tier 8 tanks are going to do good over here. Bisonte, moving on. We keep the gun system, we stay in the nation. Next up we have Mars/Progetto. Now I have to mention one thing. Mars alone, Mars solo, was the best credit maker in this list, but Mars is simply a reskinned version of Progetto. So what I did was I combined those 2 tanks' credits, and they actually ended up in the 2nd place, because Progetto alone was very high as well with the average profitability, with the average credits per battle. They make 53,513 credits on average. Now, why Mars was number 1? Well, number 1 reason, Progetto 46 is extremely good tank. Mars is a very exclusive tank because it has only been available once via the auction system, and we can argue that players who are playing Mars usually are above average right now, so maybe this is the reason why the profit margin is a little bit higher as well than on the standard Progetto, but you know, roughly into the same hole anyway. 53,513 is still pretty nice. And Mars was, or sorry, the Progetto 46 was the marathon tank. And to date, it is one of the better medium tanks in the game. Arguably one of the best, right? And for many players, it is their favorite premium tank to play with. and Wargaming actually gave you a chance to get it for free. And as it was one of the first marathons, many people actually went ahead and got this tank for free. So congratulations to you. I hope you are enjoying it. It's like a full package, right? It has -9 degrees of calibration, good gun handling, it has good damage output overall, the reload times are not that crazy, but you know the alpha damage is not that crazy either. 240 alpha, so that means you're able to dish out 720 damage on average. But your reload time between shots is only 2 seconds, so you're able to do that in 4 seconds. It has good mobility, it has good view range, you're actually able to build kind of a scout out of it as well with, let's say, ventilation, CVS, and stabilizer or coated optics, CVS stabilizer setup. Many players are doing that. I have that as secondary setup as well, because it has, I would say, good enough of a camo, like not the best camo, definitely not the best, but good enough of a camo, and you can act as a little surprise scout in some battles. Good mobility, as I said. The only thing it is lacking, of course, it's the armor. It basically doesn't have any armor. When you play with this tank, always expect getting penetrated when something is trying to hit you. When you get bounces, just know that you were simply lucky. The 6-pack on the Mars skin, special skin, does not work. Just, you know, buyers, be aware. That 6-pack is not made out of steel. It is not Spartan 6-pack, right? Anyway, it is easy to understand why this tank is up over here. The versatility, what the auto-reloading system gives on the Progetto and Mars is just amazing. You can be very versatile in it. You can slap them, you can take pop shots one by one, you can deal damage 720 in 4 seconds to surprise them, to flank them. There are just so many ways how to make this tank work, and it seems like this is what people like about this. Second place. And finally, moving on to the #1 position, the best credit maker, the best profit maker in World of Tanks, according to the Tomato.gg statistics on April 4th, 2014. EBR75 FL10, which is leading the way with 55,923 credits profit per battle. And the fun fact about that, actually, EBR75 was also #1 by profit per minute stat, raking in 12,212 credits per minute. Quite crazy to think about that, actually. Well, not bad average profit per minute for this tank. Now, why this tank is over here? Well, when we were talking about versatility in Progetto 46, it was more about the firepower. But this tank can be annoying in every given situation. There are not too many tanks that are able to do what we are doing with this Lorraine 40T right now and get away with it, with such a stupid place. You know, let's be honest over here. I didn't expect Lynx being over there, and I didn't expect Lorraine 40T rushing me down like that, but EBR75 was able to escape this situation while dealing damage to Lynx, 2 shots, HE penetration, and while dealing damage to Lorraine as well, and taking Lorraine out actually from the game. Because this tank is versatile in many different ways. It can be a scout with CVS, coated optics, low noise exhaust setup, but at the same time with this setup, this tank has good enough gun handling to be a damage dealer as well. Like at first, you are doing some spotting. When the spotting is over, you can start going in and you can just troll around and do some damage. EBR, I would say, is one of the most dangerous tanks alive in the late game. That's the same can be said about most other light tanks. I would say light tanks, especially on open-ish map, are like the most dangerous tanks which are alive. Now, of course, it has some weaknesses as well when it comes to the firepower. 175 alpha, but let's not forget it has 2 shells, 1.5 second reload time between shots, so 350 damage in 1.5 seconds. If you use APCR, sorry, or heat, or 520 damage in 1.5 seconds when you use HE that has 75 penetration, which is kinda nutty actually, if you think about that. Like right over here, 502 damage done in 1.5 seconds into Rheinmetall across the map. I was trying to attack the D28, but D28 is too aware. That guy was looking at me all the time, so I have to look for different angles. And once again, this is another positive thing, or not positive, let's say good thing about this tank. The repositioning is just hella easy. It can be whenever you need to be, whenever your team, wherever your team needs you the most, in seconds. Fast mobility with 82 kilometers per hour top speed in the rapid mode, or 62 in the slow, in the troll mode, you know, where you are glued to the ground, you're able to take some ungodly 10,000 G turns in it. Of course, it doesn't have the best view range like on any other light tank. It doesn't have the best view range. I have Go-To Optics, I have Go-To Optics Directive, Food, View Range Skills, Brothers in Arms, and my view range is a 394. So yes, it is not the best passive scout, but it is by far the most annoying active scout in the game. And people seem to be doing very good in it. You can rake in credits while doing damage, you can rake in credits while spotting for your team. Well, you know, then you are giving some credits back to the guy who is doing the damage, but you know, the point remains. EBR 75, currently, right now, as of now, #1 credit maker in World of Tanks. But guys, that was today's top 10 list. We know that making credits can be very personal as well. You could do way more on average in your favorite tanks, because, as I said, it is personal, individual. You may enjoy one tank a lot, and you may play it very good, superb. So I would like to know also which tank is your favorite credit maker in World of Tanks. Please let me know in the comment section down below. Hopefully you learned something, hopefully it was helpful. Top 10 together with a quick tank reviews over here. And I see you soon.